What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. For those who are new here, hello and welcome, and for all of my returning subscribers, hey. So today we are going to be doing the September garden tour. So a lot of my summer veggies have been slowly dying off, so we are currently in transition into the fall garden. So this garden tour is going to look a lot different from the last garden tour because I want to say it's been at least about a month, but I wanted to start with showing you this. This is by far the biggest harvest of elderberries I have ever grown, and this is super exciting but also super sad because I have decided to relocate where I currently have my elderberry bushes planted. They are directly on the side of my house, which for the most part is fine, but thinking long term, I need to find a more permanent place for them. So what I'm thinking I might end up doing this year is take some cuttings and then just pot them for the time being, and maybe just keep them in pots until I decide where exactly on my property these can like really thrive and like grow big and huge without them being an inconvenience. Because right now where they are in the direct path of where our gate is, and it ain't working. But super excited to have these. I will be dehydrating these and storing them in my pantry, but let's go on ahead and get out into the garden and take a look around, take a meander. Go ahead and start on the side of my deck because I have given you guys, oh look, it's an Annabelle. Anyway, so some of the herbs that I have over here include some peppermint, which has gone to flower and is overgrown. I have so much peppermint stored away, so that just is what it is. And I really need to go through and deadhead all of my echinacea. But the beautiful thing about echinacea is yellow finches really enjoyed the seed heads. So I like to leave these for them to munch on going into the fall and into winter. You can see my lemon balm here has gone to seed as well, and it's just looking bad, child, but it is what it is. And then down here we have some holy basil, which is kind of getting choked out by everything, but that's okay because I have more holy basil in my beds. We have some lime mint here, which has began to flower as well. It smells so good. The valerian root is looking decent. It was looking really crappy earlier in the season. It was riddled with like tons of aphids, but it's looking happy now. And then my chives here, you can see they have flowered and the bees are absolutely loving them. As I look from this view of my garden, it's pretty much exactly what I hoped it to be when we were envisioning things for the spring season. And I have been overjoyed just to walk through my garden and like see my vision come to light. And as things are dying back, it's getting me a little sad, I ain't even gonna lie, but I'm also extremely proud of just how this vision came to life. All right, so let's go on ahead and start over here in Soul's garden bed. So recently I put in some of my fall veggies. We have some beets up in the front, some kohlrabi, which you can see something has been enjoying these. So I need to go through and spray all of my brassicas down with BT, and that'll just keep the worms off. But honestly, this is looking more like grasshopper damage, and it makes sense because this is a really low bed. It's only maybe about 6 inches, well no, longer than 6 inches, maybe 12 inches off the ground, so they can easily hop up here. But we got the kohlrabi, the calendula flowers, and then 3 cabbages here, some kale plants, and then I just put 1 singular Swiss chard in here, which has taken off. I'm so proud. These peppers in this grow bag has pretty much like killed it. It has overseeded what I thought that it would actually do. You can see this baby is loaded with peppers. I've got jalapenos in here. I have habaneros. I have Scotch bonnet. It's doing absolutely amazing. And then this bed back here, which was my berry bed, so blueberry plants, strawberries. So I decided that I will go on ahead and transplant these strawberries out of this bed into my green stalks, mostly because before I can ever get a fruit off of any of these strawberry plants, a squirrel comes along and enjoys it before I can. So I want to enjoy my strawberries because these plants are doing amazing, especially considering this is like a really shady bed. But for right now, I'm going to let them do their thing over the fall, and I will transplant them out earlier in the spring. That way the runners that are beginning to spread can develop a little root system before I transplant them out. And here on this obelisk, my moonflowers and morning glory has just like exploded. And these blooms on here, they only last like, I want to say about a day or a night or whatever. But it has been nice to get like a little baby show here back in the shade. But yeah, you can see all of these runners that are being produced from these strawberry plants. So again, I'm going to let these root. That way I can have even more strawberry plants to transplant. All right, so this green stalk here has been replanted recently, but I was walking by and noticed that something is enjoying this sorrel, which I'm really happy because actually I have not been enjoying it too much later in the season. I like it earlier in the season when it's like still very small in size, mostly like maybe about this size here. It's pretty delicious still, but once it gets long like that, it gets kind of bitter. But like I said, we just replanted some of this up, so we have some arugula in here, we got some salad greens, and then I also put in, what else did I put in? Some nasturtiums down here, and then these were more established butter crunch lettuces that I got from the nursery, but this guy will soon enough fill out and do amazing. And then in these pots here, I recently popped in just some extra mums that I had left over from my front porch planters, and then I significantly cut back these straw flowers, even though this one has still got some blooms on it. And I just wondered if this guy will shoot off some extra flowers for a fall show. We shall see. And then over in this green stalk here, the only thing that I really transplanted out was some more nasturtiums, because I am allowing all of these strawberry runners again to fill out these extra pockets here that I have. And looky, down here I planted some bunching onions, and we got like little baby onions. I thought that was so interesting. Get it, little dude, get it. These marigolds started off so small, and they are like just so big and bushy. In this green stalk, it looks absolutely stunning. Bag before we get into our main beds. This was my carrot bag here that we sewed, and I sewed this pretty thick, but you can see something keeps climbing in here and like kicking the dirt around and stuff. So I might try to reseed this with maybe some radishes or something like that. That'll be like more fast growing than what the carrots are, but I'll still have some carrots, so that's exciting. I think how we're going to work this is I'm going to start on this side, go back there, over there, and then end up here. So starting on the outside of this trellis in this bed, you can see I have been clearing out tomato plants, because they are barely producing at this point. And to be honest, this side of the trellis did not produce like just an extreme amount. So I pulled out I believe just 2 of the plants, I believe. But here I still have, I think this is orange accordion here. You can see it has a couple of fruit on it. This, I believe, was mushroom basket, and it only has this one little itty bitty fruit, so I don't even know if this is like, it only has this little guy here. I don't even know if it's worth to keep, but I kept it. And then this one is, what is this? I don't know. This is orange accordion, so whichever that one was, maybe yellow accordion. And then this is supposed to be oxheart, but I don't believe that to be true because this is what the actual fruit has been looking like coming off of this plant. So I don't know, my slicers looking quite pathetic as they have all season, but I'm still keeping up the fight with the last few fruits. Swinging around on the inside of this bed, we have these green beans here, which are actually doing quite pathetic, if I'm being honest with myself, because they were quite shaded out by the sunflower that was here. These flowers were hanging over top, and so they never really got to a point that they have like developed nicely, even though they're putting off little bitty green beans right now. I'm thinking if I don't see anything happen in the next week, I'm going to pull them out and maybe sow a mass planting of like maybe some radishes or something. But then recently I went on ahead and popped in, and this guy looks so pathetic right now. I really need to water the garden. It is hot as hell. But I stuck in a squash plant here to see if I can get like a little decent harvest before the weather cools down. And then we have our eggplant, which honestly I have only gotten 2 eggplant off of these plants so far. But I do see flowers, and I always find that my eggplant begins to produce way later in the season. So I'm holding off hope that I'll get a little something out of these. And then the same has been true with my peppers. The peppers have been quite pathetic, but I see a lot of blooms coming off of these plants. So again, I'm going to hold out hope that I will get a decent harvest. You can see some of the leaves are just a little yellow, which makes me sad, but maybe I'll go through and hit them with some fertilizer, and maybe that'll make things better. Whew, had to get in the shade. But thinking about that bed for next year, I'm definitely going to give my peppers a lot more space because I feel like I packed them way too close together. I want to say there are, hold on, 3, 6, 9, 12 peppers in probably, I mean, there's not a lot of space for those peppers. So I think next year maybe putting just 6 in that area, 2 peppers of each variety that I grow, and hopefully they'll produce a lot better, have better flow. And actually I even thought about maybe pulling 1 of each out just to see what that would do in the last little bit of this season, because I feel like they will still produce, but they're just not producing to their maximum potential, and that's what I need, especially right now before the cold hits us, child. Anyways, let's get into this bed. All right, so over here our straw flowers are still giving us a gorgeous little show. I mean, I have been loving this little trail here of the lavender, the sage. There's like a little bit of anise hyssop popping up out of there, the calendula. I mean, this is giving. Even though my one little singular gladiola that got left behind, I haven't gotten anything off of it, but that's okay. I'm finally getting some pods developing on the okra over here. I have harvested a couple of times on this one as well. I went on ahead and pulled out the sunflower just because it was no longer doing anything. And then all of my broccoli here is doing okay. Hold on, maybe not. Oh look, a little buzzard again. I need to go through and treat all of my brassicas with BT, but these are looking really good still. My celery, I will eventually harvest this out and chop it up and freeze it maybe. I mean, the stalks haven't developed extremely thick like I would like them to, but you guys will have to tell me, will these guys overwinter? I'm in zone 6A, Central Ohio area. I feel like these might overwinter, so maybe I'll cut them back, harvest some, and then just leave the roots in the ground to see if it makes a comeback. I don't know. Let me know if I'm like thinking correctly. All right, and these guys back here, again, looking absolutely pathetic. I don't know that these guys will make a comeback here. This was the spinach mustard, but then the red mustard is holding off nicely. It seems like the pests don't love these as much, so I have 3 of those guys. Hopefully they get some size on them really soon. Right now my soil is so dry right now. I really need to really need to water. Moving around over here, the Malabar spinach, I think it's just not getting enough sun, because you can see it's starting to go to seed and the leaves on them are just not very big at all. I haven't really harvested anything off of here, but they're doing what they're doing. And then you can see here the one cucumber that decided to hang on is suffering from powdery mildew, and then that's probably as a result of cucumber beetle, but that's fine because I have another one down here that I recently planted, actually 2 that I put in, and hopefully I'll get like a little fall round of cucumbers. If not, whatever, I tried. Then also we have some noodle beans here that I went on ahead and put in, because the one, you can see it is dried to a crisp. Oh, but look, that's so funny. Like, it's really trying to do something, but it ain't doing nothing for real. And then we have this one little silver slicer that is holding on by a thread. I literally harvested like the tiniest little fruit off of it, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. But this guy here, this is the Sweet 100s cherry. It is still growing strong. You can see it is now at the top of the trellis, and we have picked tons and tons of tomatoes off of this guy. All right, now moving on into this bed, we'll start on the trellis end. My cucamelons are starting to give me fruit. You can't see any right now, but they're doing all right. It's not the best that my cucamelons have done. I also bought these from Starts at the nursery, so they're doing what they need to do. The green beans have been producing nicely, even though a lot of them have been like coming out really funky, not so straight like in the past. Like, that's just weird to me. And then my squashes here are still doing their thing. Just one itty bitty squash here, and then actually I have this guy, which I believe is a spaghetti squash. All right, and then coming around on the other side here, all of my sweet peas, I don't know what happened. The germination was like extremely spotty. I might go in and try to resow more, but then again, I may not. The black-eyed peas, they have been slowly drying on the plant, and I have been picking some of those. All right now, but you can see this guy is like still sprawling with tons and tons more pods, so that's really exciting. And then the same goes for my cow peas. I have been slowly harvesting these guys as well, and you know when they're ready by when they're like kind of papery feeling, and like sometimes you can rattle them. And then these I actually will be pulling up really soon. This was the Royal Burgundy bean. These did okay. They definitely could have done a lot better, but I think it was just this bed was like, I don't know, poorly watered, because my drip tape here just hasn't really been doing its thing on this end of things, but we'll do better next year. You can see here the okra over here has been putting off some lovely pods. This guy hasn't done anything just yet. You can see I need to water really bad, so Excuse that. And then I also popped in some more squash over here. This is the gray zucchini on this end. And this sunflower here, I will actually need to pull this guy out really soon, because you can see, I mean, at this point, majority of the heads are dead and they have no more seeds in them because the birds have enjoyed them. Now for this final front bed, we're going to start on the outside where all of my cherry and Roma tomatoes are. There are still like tons and tons of fruit on this side of things. I believe it's because the sun is more direct over here, but I mean, there are still clusters upon clusters upon clusters of fruit, and that just makes me so happy since the other side did not do so well. But I will be going through and topping these plants really soon so they can focus their energy on ripening. And then I do need to do a good harvest of basil. This guy didn't do as well as I hoped. Actually, none of my basil did. Let's never start from the back of this bed up, so that's how we're going to do things. This marshmallow plant has been doing extremely well, considering it is like literally growing sideways and reaching out towards the sun. It's still doing its thing. My rosemary, however, you can see like it just hasn't done much, and that kind of makes me sad because I wanted a lot more rosemary to store away, but it just is what it is. This holy basil has been absolutely amazing. It is such a joy to walk by here and like rub my fingers and sniff them. Yes, that's my favorite thing. And then back here we have my collards, which you can see that, yeah, there you are. I see you little buzzards. I need to spray some BT on these guys so I can actually enjoy my collards and they can grow up nicely. Same thing goes over here. I will be spraying these babies down tonight after a good watering. And then the peppers over here, I don't know. So it's so weird because some of these peppers in this bed has done absolutely amazing while the others have not. And technically it's only one pepper that has really been the star of the show, but all three of the plants have showed they tails, like killing it in growth, killing it in harvest. And I bet you know which one it is, but I'm gonna show you. First, let's just go down the line. So the wiry, I believe it's called. It's like these itty bitty little peppers here. You can see some of them are beginning to ripen, and we have a lot more buds on this guy. So I'm excited to see that this one is starting to develop more, because it was really shaded out by where all of these plants were, you know, nice and full and bushy. But now we have some airflow because I pruned them back really hard. My jalapenos over here have been just a little sad, but that's okay because I still have tons and tons of jalapenos. And then this guy was supposed to be a Tabasco plant. I'm assuming this looks more like a Plebano to me. I don't know. I feel like those are a little darker skinned though. So you guys tell me what you think. Never seen a pepper like this with a little pointy end. But yeah, I don't know what those are. Mystery peppers. But this guy's humongous. You can see he's all the way up here, like damn near on the trellis. It's crazy. But these guys, star of the show. I have harvested so many of these Sugar Rush cream peppers. They are absolutely so delicious and extremely prolific. I have harvested these so many times, and I mean, they just keep producing and producing and producing, and it's just so lovely to see, given that the rest of my peppers was just like, nah girl, not this year. And then same thing goes with my other eggplants. These guys, I've only gotten one eggplant off of this one. And then you can see this little funky guy. Hey there, are you excited to see me? He sure is. But yeah, only one. So hopefully I'll get something. If not, it's totally fine. Over here, we planted these together. These were supposed to be cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, but apparently I grabbed 2 Brussels sprouts instead. And again, I need to go through with some BT and hose these babies down. And then in between there, I intersowed some beets. And this little guy, I need to plant this up, find a place for her. But oh, I forgot to mention, I also put in some Swiss chard and some lettuce seedlings or transplants that I had left over on both sides. I did that over here and over here. Ooh, child, I had to find some shade because first of all, my camera is getting hot and I'm hot. But that is pretty much all of the garden. There are so many changes that I want to make. As I look at how everything grew this year and thinking ahead for the future, I'm really feeling like where my garden is currently in my landscape, it's just not getting nearly the amount of sun that it needs. And I honestly feel like that's the reason for a lot of the disease and the lack of growth on a lot of my plants. I just feel like I'm not getting enough direct sun. So I'm actually trying to consider where in my landscape I would like to put it. The most reasonable place would honestly be straight ahead up there closer to where my house is, but the only thing with that is I don't have like a good view of it, and I like to be able to see what's going on. But I don't know, I'll have to figure it out. Even if I just move these back beds up to the front of those beds, that will offer up so much more light, direct sun for a longer period of the day. And then also I do need to trim back my trees significantly, which is actually going to be happening soon. And I'm very nervous about it because I don't know how careful they're going to be about my garden. So I'm going to somehow, some way figure out a way to protect some of the plants that I at least want to make sure don't get harmed in the process of that. But I don't know. Right now I'm just thinking ahead of like what I want to see change in my garden and how things are currently growing. I think a lot of my issue is just a lack of sun. So I don't know, leave some suggestions down in the comment section if you will. I believe I've done one video before where I've given you guys a tour of my backyard. If I did, I'll go on ahead and link it in the cards or down below in the description. But hopefully you guys have had an amazing season. Hopefully you guys got a lot more harvest than I did in my garden, because I feel like I've definitely had better years. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section below, what are some transitions that you are making in your garden? And do you ever get overwhelmed by the idea of like changing things? Like, I know that I need to make changes in my garden, but it's going to require a lot of resources. It's going to require a lot of work and a lot more space in my yard, which I will have to talk to my husband about, because I don't know that he likes that idea yet, but we're going to talk him into it. So anyways, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure that you go on ahead and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I thank you all so much for stopping by. I wish you health, wealth, and prosperity. And until the next time, peace.